Hitler's death. Adolf Hitler took his own life on April 30th, 1945, inside his Berlin bunker, likely using both a gun and cyanide. At his request, his body was quickly burned, and Soviet forces later recovered a jawbone and skull fragments near the site. These remains became the center of debate for decades. In the weeks following the war, Soviet officials claimed they lacked definitive evidence of Hitler's death. Stalin even told American officials that Hitler might have escaped, possibly to Spain or Argentina. Marshal Zhukov publicly said no body had been found, and rumors circulated in Allied newspapers that the man found in the bunker was a double. Some British magazines suggested Hitler had used lookalikes to confuse the Allies, with one supposedly sacrificed in his place. This uncertainty was fueled further by the Soviets' claim that the mayor of Berlin believed Hitler was still alive. The idea spread so widely that even General Eisenhower briefly entertained the possibility. Over time, this confusion led to a flood of escape theories, most famously the claim that Hitler fled to Argentina with Eva Braun. One version of the story, reported in 1948, came from a former German officer who claimed that he, Hitler, Braun and Bormann escaped the bunker in tanks, flew to Tønder in Denmark, then boarded a submarine to Argentina. There, Hitler and Braun allegedly settled in Patagonia, had 2 daughters, and lived quietly until Hitler's death in 1962. The 2011 book Grey Wolf repeated this theory, claiming Nazis were welcomed by a President Juan Perón who had received Nazi funds since the 1930s. The book claims that Martin Bormann traded stolen art and military intelligence with the US Office of Strategic Services in return for sparing Hitler's life. Hitler was said to have stayed at Hacienda San Ramon before moving to a remote Bavarian-style mansion near Lake Nehul-Huapi. According to the story, Eva Braun eventually left him and took their daughter Ursula to Neuquén. The FBI and CIA later received numerous reports over the years claiming Hitler had been seen in South America, Europe, and even the US. Some of these accounts said he had changed his appearance through plastic surgery. One declassified CIA document included a photo of a man resembling Hitler, allegedly sent by a former SS officer based in South America. There's no doubt that many Nazis escaped to Argentina after the war. Figures like Josef Mengele and Adolf Eichmann were confirmed to have reached South America using secret red lines. Nazi groups had prepared for this possibility well before the war ended, buying land and building infrastructure, including estates with submarine docks. They had also been paying Perón since 1932 to ensure they would have safe haven if needed. Another, less popular theory claims Hitler escaped to Spain, possibly hiding in the Samos monastery. While this location was known to be sympathetic to Nazis, there is no concrete evidence. Hanna Reitsch, Hitler's personal pilot, did land near the Chancellery shortly before his death and flew in and out of Berlin multiple times, but there's no indication she helped anyone escape. In 2009, doubts were reignited when a skull fragment kept by the Soviets, long believed to be Hitler's, was DNA tested and found to belong to a woman under 40. This fueled new speculation, but in 2017, French forensics examined Hitler's jawbone and confirmed it matched his dental records. The teeth showed signs of cyanide damage and matched his known vegetarian diet and gum disease. In 2018, further analysis confirmed the presence of blue deposits in the dentures, consistent with a chemical reaction caused by cyanide. These findings reinforce the original conclusion. The Nazi gold hoards. During Hitler's reign, Germany lacked the basic resources to sustain its population, yet the Nazi regime managed to acquire more than $500 million in foreign gold, over $36 billion today, vital for financing their military ambitions. This wasn't simply amassed through trade, but through organized plunder across occupied Europe. More than $20 billion in gold was looted from countries like Belgium, Holland, Italy, Greece, and Poland, with much of it never recovered. The scale of this theft and the enduring mystery of missing Nazi gold have fueled speculation for decades. The largest confirmed haul came in April 1945, when US troops discovered a massive underground stash in the Merkas salt mine in Thuringia. Over 8,000 gold bars, 3,000 bags of coins, and piles of currency and artwork, worth an estimated $16 billion today. But even that was just a fraction of what the Nazis hid as the war collapsed around them. Another major cache was rumored to be buried in the Bavarian Alps. Allied forces found 9 tons of gold in 1945, but more than half a ton, worth over $20 million, was never located. In 2023, attention turned to a Dutch archive map showing a red X near the village Ommeren. The map, dating to the 1944 Operation Market Garden in Arnhem, pointed to treasure buried by German paratroopers. Despite post-war interrogations and several excavations, nothing was found. The most famous of these legends is the Nazi gold train. Said to have left the city of Breslau in 1945, the armored train supposedly vanished into a sealed tunnel near the Polish town of Wałbrzych. Though no train has been found, belief in its existence continues. Some theorists argue the treasure was secretly removed decades ago, while others insist it still lies beneath the Sudeten Mountains, hidden within the vast network of tunnels built by the Nazis during the Project Riese. Lake Toplitz in Austria is another famous site believed to hold Nazi gold. In the 1950s, divers recovered SS crates filled with counterfeit British banknotes, part of Operation Bernhard, aimed at collapsing Britain's economy. No gold was found, and the lake's treacherous conditions, dead zones of oxygen and layers of floating logs, have claimed lives. To this day, diving is banned in the lake. Other lakes like Walchensee in Germany and Garda in Italy carry similar rumors. Some even tie these stories to secret U-boat shipments to Argentina, allegedly aided by Juan Perón's regime. Another lingering mystery is Rommel's gold. In 1943, Rommel's Afrika Korps reportedly seized Jewish gold on the Tunisian island of Djerba. The treasure was apparently moved to Corsica for transport to Germany but vanished en route. Some say the ship sank, others believe the gold was hidden on Corsica or the French coast. It was never found. Then there's the role of neutral countries. Gold looted from concentration camp victims often passed through Switzerland, where the Nazis used banks to mask its origins. When Portugal refused direct Nazi gold, Swiss banks laundered it through disguised transactions. In 1998, Swiss banks paid over $1 billion in reparations, but some believe vast sums of Nazi plunder still lie buried deep in the vaults beneath Zurich. The full truth behind Nazi gold remains unsolved. Nazi UFOs and Antarctic bases. Did the Nazis escape to Antarctica in flying saucers? That's the core of one of the most persistent World War II fringe theories. A myth claiming the Third Reich secretly developed advanced UFO-like technology and built a hidden base at the bottom of the world. Known as Base 211 or the Neuschwabenland Station, the alleged outpost was said to house Nazi elites who fled Germany in 1945 to launch a future Fourth Reich and experiment with alien tech. The theory ties together various elements: supposed Nazi flying discs like the Haunebu project, mysterious weapons like Die Glocke, and the belief that German U-boats ferried personnel and technology to Antarctica during the 1938-39 German expedition. Some claim this mission was a cover for constructing underground facilities in Queen Maud Land, an area Germany renamed Neuschwabenland. This narrative came from post-war pseudoscience and fiction. Austrian neo-Nazi Wilhelm Landig's 1970s Thule trilogy helped popularize the idea of an Aryan Antarctic base. Around the same time, Holocaust denier Ernst Zündel published sensational UFO books claiming Nazi survivors built flying saucers in South America and Antarctica. Others pointed to SS General Hans Kammler, rumored to have overseen secret Nazi weapons programs, as having vanished with key scientists and blueprints. The story took on new life with Operation High Jump in 1946, a massive US Navy expedition to Antarctica led by Admiral Richard E. Byrd. Though officially a military training and research mission, theorists claimed it was actually an assault on hidden Nazi forces. Byrd's later comments about potential threats from the polar region were reinterpreted as veiled references to surviving Nazi technology. The Roswell incident in 1947 only added fuel. Some theorists linked the crashed object in New Mexico to Nazi saucers smuggled to Argentina or reverse-engineered in secret American programs connected to Operation Paperclip. But the entire theory collapses under scrutiny. First, Nazi aerospace projects, while advanced for their time, never produced operational saucers or anti-gravity craft. The so-called Nazi Bell is based entirely on second-hand, unverifiable claims from post-war sources with no documentation or physical evidence. The 1938 Antarctic expedition lasted only a few months and was mainly a whaling reconnaissance mission. No records of construction, let alone subterranean bases. As for Operation High Jump, declassified military documents describe a large-scale training exercise with the usual challenges of polar exploration: ice damage, bad weather, and accidents, not battles with Nazi superweapons. Byrd's comments about the next war likely reference the emerging Cold War. Roswell has been thoroughly debunked as well. A 1990s US Air Force investigation traced the crash to Project Mogul, a classified balloon surveillance program. Martin Bormann's survival theory claims Hitler's secretive private secretary, a linchpin of the Nazi regime, didn't die in Berlin in 1945, but escaped to orchestrate a hidden Nazi revival. Theorists argue Bormann fled to Argentina, Paraguay, or Chile, where he allegedly managed looted gold or led a Fourth Reich in the 1950s and 60s. FBI reports from 1945 investigated sightings fueled by books like The Hunt for Martin Bormann, which cited unverified witnesses. A wilder variant posits Bormann was a Soviet spy defecting to Moscow under Stalin's protection based on the dictator's cryptic post-war hints. The theory gained traction because Bormann's body wasn't identified until a 1972 skull discovery in Berlin, which some doubted until 1998 DNA tests. His shadowy role, controlling Hitler's inner circle and finances, made him a prime candidate for escape, especially given real Nazi fugitives like Eichmann. Stalin's disinformation, declassified FBI files, and Argentina's Nazi haven history kept the myth alive, amplified by pop culture like the Odessa file. The evidence, however, crumbles. Eyewitnesses, including Hitler's driver Erich Kempka, saw Bormann taken out by a Soviet tank blast on May 2, 1945, while fleeing the Führerbunker. The 1972 skull found at the site was confirmed as Bormann's via DNA match to his family. Escaping Soviet-encircled Berlin would have been near impossible for the unhealthy, desk-bound Bormann. The Soviet spy claim lacks archival support, likely Stalin's ploy to unsettle allies. South American sightings relied on misidentified photos or bounty hunter hoaxes, with FBI probes finding no substance. The Nazi moon base myth suggests that during or after World War II, the Nazis escaped Earth and established a hidden base on the moon, using advanced aerospace technology supposedly far ahead of its time. Proponents of the theory claim that Nazi scientists developed either modified V-2 rockets or anti-gravity craft, like the so-called Haunebu flying saucers, to flee a collapsing Germany and rebuild their power in secret, possibly as a launching point for a Fourth Reich. This idea grew out of post-war science fiction and 1970s conspiracy culture, drawing from real Nazi innovations like the V-2 missile, combined with post-Apollo moon landing doubts and Cold War-era UFO sightings. Some theorists even point to Wernher von Braun, Hitler's top rocket engineer turned NASA pioneer, as proof that Nazi space ambitions were real. Pop culture helped cement the fantasy, from Robert Heinlein's rocket ship Galileo to the satirical film Iron Sky or the Wolfenstein games. At one point, even Wikipedia included fabricated claims about Luftwaffe pilots reaching space in 1945 through the Aggregate rocket program, though these were later removed as baseless. No evidence exists to support any of that. The V-2 rocket barely reached space's edge, no records or physical remnants show anti-gravity vehicles, and NASA's Apollo landings revealed no signs of lunar structures. Rudolf Hess's flight. On May 10, 1941, Hitler's deputy Führer secretly flew to Britain, intending to meet the Duke of Hamilton and propose peace. Hess believed there was opposition to Churchill within the British elite and hoped to bypass the Prime Minister, forcing a power shift. He had written to Hamilton in September 1940, but MI5 intercepted the letter. Despite receiving no reply, Hess launched the mission anyway. He parachuted down near Glasgow and was captured, leaving Hitler shocked and furious. Held as a prisoner, Hess was interrogated for a year by MI6 officer Frank Foley, though the contents of these debriefings remain classified, with many files sealed until 2041. Hess claimed he acted alone to stop the war, but the Nazi regime denounced him as mentally unstable. Britain imprisoned him, and from 1966 until his death in 1987, he was the sole inmate in Spandau prison under heavy surveillance. His lifelong isolation and the Allies' refusal to release him on humanitarian grounds added to suspicions. Some theories claim he was concerned about a two-front war before the planned Soviet invasion. Others suggest collusion with MI6 or the pro-Nazi Fifth Column to build an anti-Soviet alliance. Other theories argue Hitler secretly sent Hess to mislead Britain, or that his flight masked an internal power struggle, as Hess had been sidelined by Martin Bormann. Stalin believed the flight signaled British efforts to negotiate with Germany behind their backs. This Soviet view persisted in propaganda and fueled Cold War suspicion, though archives provide no proof of British involvement. One fringe theory claimed the man at Nuremberg was a body double, but this was debunked by medical records, and a 2019 DNA test confirmed the prisoner was Hess. British intelligence concluded Hess acted alone, driven by delusions of lost importance and erratic thinking. Declassified MI5 files and Hitler's documented anger support the view that neither Britain nor Germany sanctioned the mission. Officially, Hess ended his own life in 1987, though some relatives and theorists believe he was silenced. The Nazi atomic bomb theory claims that Hitler's regime, through the Uranverein nuclear program led by Werner Heisenberg, built and tested an atomic bomb before 1945, either hiding it, using it secretly, or smuggling it abroad. Popularized by Rainer Karl's Hitler's Bomb, it cites vague Soviet reports and local accounts of mysterious explosions in 1944-45 near Thuringia, especially Ohrdruf or the Baltic Sea. Some allege the bomb or its plans reached Argentina via U-boats, or the US through Operation Paperclip, influencing the Manhattan Project. The theory persists because of real Nazi advances in rocket technology, declassified Uranverein files, and fear of a what-if scenario, amplified by media and Cold War speculation. But there's no evidence of a working Nazi bomb. The Uranverein was underfunded, disorganized, and crippled by resource shortages and the expulsion of Jewish scientists. Most historians note it lagged far behind the Manhattan Project, which succeeded in 1945. Alleged test sites show no radiation, and Karl's claims rely on weak, unverified accounts. Operation Paperclip transferred scientists, but none were involved in nuclear weapons design, and Argentina had no nuclear infrastructure to receive or develop such tech. The Nazi cloning experiments theory claims that Josef Mengele and other SS doctors conducted secret human cloning experiments aiming to create Aryan super soldiers or preserve Nazi DNA. Inspired by Mengele's real atrocities at Auschwitz, particularly his obsession with twins, the theory suggests these experiments continued after the war in South America, where Mengele allegedly set up hidden labs in places like Brazil or Paraguay. The myth gained traction from Ira Levin's novel The Boys from Brazil, which portrayed a fictional plot to clone Hitler and raise his copies to revive Nazism. But the theory has no factual basis. Cloning technology didn't exist until the 1950s and wasn't viable until Dolly the Sheep in 1996. Mengele's actual research was brutal, but focused on basic genetics, not cloning. Post-war South American settlements existed, but were ordinary German immigrant enclaves with no links to secret science. However, during World War II, German forces did use synthetic stimulants like pervitin to increase stamina and movement speed, suppress fatigue and sharpen aggression, like during the 1940 Battle of France. SS physician Dr. Kurt Plöttner tested even stronger substances on prisoners in Sachsenhausen. These facts helped feed myths of super soldiers, but the origin was chemistry, not cloning.